Let me tell you, I'm happy to say there's nothing but blue skies coming your way. There's nothing but blue skies coming your way. I'm happy to say there's nothing but blue skies coming your way. Blue skies coming your way. Blue skies coming your way. This is weather. Weather. This is weather. Weather. This is weather. Weather. This is weather. Weather. This is Dick Whitman bringing you the weather.
And the dough. And the dough. And the dough. Always stacking bread. Always stacking bread. Always stacking bread. Always stacking bread.
This is Dick Whitman bringing you the weather. This is Dick Whitman bringing you the weather. Let me tell you, I'm happy to say there's nothing but blue skies coming your way.
It is Saturday, March 8th, and welcome to a new episode of You Don't Watch Sports right here on the Feo Grande YouTube network. I am Bill Smith, and I am joined as always by the man, the myth, the legend, Feo Grande himself, Omari Ellis. Omari, how was your sports week?
Amazing. Great start, great finish. Loving it and loving what we're hearing right now.
Absolutely. We're going to get into it because we covered 3 topics here on You Don't Watch Sports, just to sprinkle a little bit of information into your casual conversation as we are your guiding light through the sea that is sports talk. Not a whole lot of traditional sports here on the show today because topic number 1, Omari, it has been a week of change in the WWE and we need to talk about it. First of all, as it is playing in the background, our girl, my girl, everyone's girl, Io Sky has won in shocking fashion the Women's World Championship on Monday Night Raw against Rhea Ripley. What were your...
I've been an Io Shirai. I've been an Io Sky fan since she was called Io Shirai in NXT. I was happy, obviously, and I'm pretty sure on the fantasy team, so we got that going on. She might be on yours. I think she's on mine, so I'm excited about that. So,
yeah, you thought best case scenario as an Io Sky fan, Io Shirai fan, you thought maybe some shenanigans were going to happen during the match on Monday that might get her into the WrestleMania match with Rhea and Bianca. In no world did I ever think that was going to happen. I mean, that's probably still going to happen. But no way did I think the reasoning was because she wins the match and becomes the champion.
Yeah, I did not think she was going in as champion. I wanted her to go into Mania as champion just because, rooting for the character and actors playing the character for a long time and just want to see success for wrestlers you like rooting for. So it's like, yeah, I wanted her to win, but I didn't think she was going to. Because at the end of the day, WWE been loving them some Rhea Ripley and the EST. So
Speaking of title changes, last night we also had a big one. The Men's United States Championship changed hands from Shinsuke Nakamura back to LA Knight. Some would
Yeah.
say that this title reign from Shinsuke Nakamura was a little disappointing. I think that's accurate, if not an understatement. Um,
He had the whole cool promos
thoughts?
a while back, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, his featurettes are amazing. His visuals on his entrance are amazing. Um, he just didn't get enough matches and time to really start getting really strong heat or boos, and um, it was following a very long year of losing a whole lot to Cody Rhodes. Now,
Yeah.
granted,
That's Cody Rhodes, you know.
everybody's losing to Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
But it just kept happening. So yeah, it's a disappointing one. And then we've expressed our thoughts on LA Knight here on this channel.
We sure have. Speaking of people on fantasy teams.
Never been on ours. And then an Oscar-winning performance last
We didn't even
night.
mention him at the Royal Rumble thing.
From Bianca and Naomi, as that story finally develops as we get Jade Cargill back in WWE. Naomi is revealed as the attacker. She did it for Bianca. Don't want to say I called it
You did?
months ago, but
I don't know about months ago, but you definitely called it.
I think I was on this relation to Rikishi from like the night it happened, but I could be overthinking for myself.
And you could be right. But you were right.
And finally,
nonetheless.
Omari, the turn that shocked the world. I was not there for Super Cena, for John Cena sucks. John Cena sucks. When everyone was begging for this to happen, you were. So I want you to speak on what occurred last Saturday night.
So we had talked about it as a possibility earlier in the day. Like, you know, hey, he could team up with The Rock.
Right.
It makes sense, all this stuff. But
But also because
we
there were
both-
only six, there was only really five options.
Well, no, I'm just
talk
being
about,
honest.
so, like, yeah.
But when we narrowed it down for the people in the match that it could be, if Cody didn't fucking turn himself, the people it could be were like CM Punk or John Cena. Punk going corporate is literally anti his name, but we both decided that despite all the ways we could put it together, John Cena being the one to turn was just so preposterous. We're going CM Punk. Like, because there's just that, it's not happening. He like you said, even against The Rock, who came back and they did like a face versus face, but people were ready to boo John Cena in Once in a Lifetime of all the times, especially because The Rock was telling them to boo John Cena. And John Cena didn't come out here and just be like, well, bump all y'all, fuck you if you're going to root for Dwayne. He just came out here, I'm still John Cena, I'm going to do what I want. He even made a joke about doing a heel turn and like grinded his foot in the ring. Maybe I do a little heel turn, huh? Fucking shit like that. But that's all you expect when it comes to John Cena and him turning heel is not really. It's not going to happen because yes, heel Cena has been around before, but that's literally the beginning of his career. And then, you know, he got reborn into what he did, and he just never went back to heel afterwards. And I think that's the point that some people try to miss because they're trying to be like, what are you talking about? He was heel to begin with. Yes, the Doctor of Thugonomics when he first showed up was a heel, but he was very much still super face as the Doctor of Thugonomics.
I think I saw a graphic that it's something around 7,400 plus days of John Cena's character being the ultimate good guy.
Guys,
Kind of
2005
presentation.
2005 was 20 years ago. John Cena, Super Cena was Super Cena because he sold money to the kids, and the kids got it. Kids 20 years ago are 20 now, so they don't remember stuff from 20 years ago. They remember stuff from 10 years ago, 5 years ago, or 15 maybe. And all they know is Cena being a face. And these lifelong fans who
Coming
are
out,
grown up-
smiling, talking to Stu, holding up the towel.
Yeah.
It has been 22 years of that.
And so when it actually happened,
What's going to happen to Stu?
I would love for him to go full Tekken 8 win quote on the motherfucker. But I'm saying that because there's a lot of people who in Tekken 8 who just attack the cameraman as part of their "you win" screen. Just I just want him to just go full. when he
Yeah,
comes
that's
out.
what I just realized. I was like, I feel like Stu's going to get attacked in this. Stu is a character in the John Cena story. John Cena has brought one of the longtime cameramen who's been working with the WWF/WWE forever. He has brought him through the fourth wall as a character on the screen. I feel like
Yeah, he loves to come out and just be like,
something
"Let's
has
go
to
work.
happen
Let's
between
go
John
work,
Cena
blah,
and
blah, blah."
Stu.
That would be great. That'd be like if Stone Cold beat up the beer guy.
Right. Yeah, but we don't even know the beer guy's name. He should have been shouting out that guy's name.
He has, but he didn't do it a lot on screen. I
Right.
barely remembered Stu's name. When you first said Stu, I was thinking Stu Bennett, but he goes by Wade Barrett in WWE still. So I was like, oh no, the camera guy, yeah. So
If he hadn't, I think he did it at either the Royal Rumble or also did it at Elimination Chamber, or and or both. And so that's why it's fresh in my mind. But also knowing that he's literally, let's go to work, Stu, or
Yeah.
Stu, they're hot tonight, or usually something like that. And yeah, to that is the man who does the handheld steady cam for the wrestlers as they're walking down the ramp. That's always this one man whose name is Stu.
yeah, the guy, when John Cena comes out, holds up the towel, says something, point, camera turns to as he runs down the ramp. Yeah, that's Stu holding that. So it was crazy. I love the fact of I was happy that we're getting this just because it was unexpected. For a lot of people, it's hit the zeitgeist like crazy. Like the public, everybody, I don't know how to use the word zeitgeist, but you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
It's gone, like everybody talks about it. They brought it up on ESPN the next day. The politicians talking about it. There's fucking
Shannon Sharp. John Cena. Something's coming to John Cena.
Go ahead, hit me up, Cody. I'll help you with that. Now, Shannon, we all know you just told everybody you got 2 bad hips.
Oh man, and then Punk's promo on Monday. Oh my God, I would love to say this to your face, but unfortunately, you haven't graced us with your presence to do your bullshit. To slap your arm. Oh my God. I loved that one so much. I've never been a CM Punk guy, but man, that one, as this WWE, this modern WWE run, CM Punk's a dude. Let's move on to topic number 2, Omar, the Capcom Cup. We talked about it last week in kind of a preamble.
Oh,
But
yes.
things have happened. Things have gone on. Is it done? It's done.
Yes, it is, because it was in Japan, which means they're a day ahead of us, or at least half a day ahead of us. Last night, the top 16 was played out, and we have a new millionaire. There were stories that I talked about going into it, one of them being the player of the year, currently Evo World's main champion, Punk. Speaking of CM Punk, a man whose fighting game name was inspired by him, Punk the Alpha, did not make it out of the group stage. This is 48 of the best players in the world. They all had to win multiple tournaments they've all had to win tournaments that involve like thousands of people in them to get to this point. And you're gonna lose. He didn't make it to top 16. Knuckle mentioned him. I think he was one of the names you saw last week. Your boy Hot Dog 29 didn't make it out of his pool, but there were some names that did make a splash. As far as the old heads, and your Angry Birds, the first Evo champion for Street Fighter 6, he's there. Tokido, one of the 5 Japanese gods of fighting games. I didn't give him the title, that's just what they call him. He of course made it to top 16. Mena RD, former Evo champ, he's in there. Xiaohai, yes, lots of great people. Fudo. Now, when it comes to new people, I did mention Lashar, as I want to correct that. I said he was the reigning champ of Capcom Cup. No, he was just the big newcomer on the scene last year that got 4th. This year, he made it back. I remember you
shouting out Lashar.
Yeah,
I feel like we shout out Noah the Prodigy and
Yes,
Juicy Joe.
That's what I was going to say. Noah the Prodigy, who I was like, hey, that kid showed up when he was like 8 years old, and he could make a big splash here. He made it all the way to 5th place.
Nice. Yeah, and I shouted out the connection to one of my new favorite wrestlers, Roxanne Perez, the Prodigy.
Yeah.
I always enjoy when I enjoy a Prodigy gimmick.
Yes, he made it there. Juicy Joe also made it to 5th place. Your boy Juicy Joe, because I know that was one of the names you saw. You're like, just on name alone, Juicy Joe. I had not heard of him, but now a lot of people have. Juicy Joe from
representing
Sweden.
Brazil.
I want to say that's Sweden.
Yeah.
Or yeah, I think Sweden is that. Bottom line is he made it through, but we're going to talk about prodigies. We'll talk about the winner in a second, but we got to talk about prodigies. Noah's a prodigy. I already mentioned, showed up at Evo top 32 at 8 years old. There was a kid, 15 years old, out of Chile. First big tournament he's ever really gone to. First time playing for this kind of money, and he's in $1 million tournament. And he makes it not only out of the group stage, but when he gets to top 16, he immediately loses to a former Evo second place champion, or second place Kakaru, 3-0. But people expected that. This guy, Kakaru's been established. This is a 15-year-old kid. What's he gonna do? You made it far, kid. Congratulations. Cinderella story, they'll talk about you. But then he goes into the losers bracket, because once it hit top 16, not only was it 3 out of 5, it's double elimination. He goes down to losers. He beats this kid named Shudo, up and comer in Japan, but we're in Japan. Beats him in front of the Japanese crowd. Then he goes against Noah the Prodigy, who was on a tear, but he beats Noah the Prodigy 3-0. Then he goes against Angry Bird, who won Evo World last year and was one of the biggest names coming in here, the best Ken player in the world. And this is all with Ryu. Blas beats Angry Bird 3-0. Then he goes against last year's up-and-comer, new guy on the scene, who made it all the way to 4th place and shocked everybody so much that I thought the motherfucker won last year, Lashar, and he beats him 3-0. And not only does he beat these people 3-0, some of the games, he made them look like the inexperienced ones, because there are some things that you got tools in fighting games, you got to use them at certain cases. But there's always certain tools that when you do it, people are like, why would you do that there? The risk was too high. He clearly is thrown off his game. And it's usually referred to as the wake up Shoryuken or wake up DP. It's an invincible move that if someone's pressing you, you can get them knocked off of you and kind of reset things back to normal. But if they block it, especially at the highest level, you're losing half a life bar, if not more. And they're just throwing it out just randomly, like if I was playing or some shit. Like, please get off of me, like type shit. He just played super solid, made it all the way to second place, where he lost to the champion, Japan's own Kakeru, playing JP, a character who's new to Street Fighter 6 and was dominating season 1. There was like 80 of those motherfuckers in Capcom Cup. This year there was only like 2, him and Juicy Joe, but they still made it to top 16. So a lot of nerfing that did. Same thing with Luke, played by Noah the Prodigy, or Ken, played by like 4 people in top 16. Anyway, bottom line is there's a new millionaire. Kakeru won the $1 million prize. Will he retire like Uma did? Uma being last year's person who did not ever show up again after winning. He was like, I won $1 million. Why do I have like, I'm sad that, you know, certain players that I root for didn't make it, but I'm also happy that they're not retiring because they paid $1 million playing fighting games, so I get to see them again. That's the way I have to like contextualize it, be like silver lining. Nonetheless, I am proud of, am happy for Kakeru. I'm happy for Blaze. We almost had like the Cinderella of Cinderella stories. Fucking, like, it would have been, and it still is kind of more impressive than Justin Wong winning his first Evo at age 15. Because of the scale of things. The first Evo Justin Wong won was one of the first Evos. So it wasn't nearly the scale as Capcom Cup 11. Here's $1 million on the line. Everybody played for a year to get to this point. Not saying Justin Wong ain't shit. Obviously, he's Justin fucking Wong. He's got 9 Evo championships, more than anybody. I can say what I'm saying about the first one at 15. The bottom line is... that Blaze Blas, he's from Chile, and I hope we're gonna be seeing a lot more of them. There's no way he didn't. Now, I mentioned something about first place winning $1 million. How much do you think second place got with first place winning $1 million?
50,000.
Okay, I'm not sure if you tried to go as low as possible or what, but technically it is slightly better than that. It was 100,000, but still, that's a $900,000 gap between first and second. And it was funny watching some of the commentators watch it. They're like, this Blaze kid is playing with no fear. He's just doing a lot of decisions. They're like, well, to be fair, I don't think the kid understands the weight. One, he's not as experienced enough on this stage to be like, oh no, if I lose, there will be scrutiny or anything, or my reputation, my legacy. He's not thinking about that. 2, yeah, there's $1 million on the line, but it's a 15-year-old's $1 million versus a 27-year-old in the like grand final, or a lot of 20s and 30-year-olds who, I need this money. Life is this. You know, he gets to go to school.
15-year-old is automatically walking away with $100,000. Like he's on cloud 9 right now.
I got 1,000 at 13 from a lawsuit because of a car crash, and I thought I was the shit. 100,000, he'll be all right. And as good as he is, we're gonna be seeing a lot of them. 3-0 tear through some big names in losers bracket. Yeah, it was great, and the Japanese crowd supportive of just about everybody on that stage, losing their shit every time somebody won, regardless of what country they were from. Obviously,
first
they were
time
happy.
This was out of the country, right?
For Capcom Cup itself, yes. Yeah, it was in Japan. And I do think, unlike last year, because I don't know why they didn't do it. It was the first time they didn't. I think the winner of Capcom Cup automatically qualifies to be in next year's. So I think they brought that back. So Uma apparently didn't get that privilege, but he also didn't go to any tournaments after he won. So maybe he wouldn't have been. He's like, I don't care if I didn't come back. But yeah, so I don't think this is the last we'll see at Kakeru. Why stop at 1 million?
I don't know. All right, let's go on to topic number 3, Omari. It is AEW Revolution this weekend, and in traditional AEW fashion, it is the bangerest of the banger cards. This may be on paper one of the best ones they've put together. A bunch of insane matches here, and it's crazy that I'll say the one that I want to start with, because the one that I'm the least interested in, is the men's world heavyweight championship. John Moxley versus Cope for that championship. The story has been Copeland slowly removing members of the Death Riders through concertos. And then this past week on Dynamite, he had a singles match against Wheeler Yuta, where he, instead of doing the concerto route that he went with Claudio and Pax and even Marina, instead he had a straight up kind of almost amateur wrestling styled wrestling match with Wheeler and beat him clean and then stood him up and shook his hand and told him he did a good job and told him that this is what respecting you is, kind of thing, and then walked out. And then John Moxley came out and was like, what the hell, blah, 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 kind of paintbrushing him around a little bit. Yuta bailed, walked off, stormed out on him. So the story is that John Moxley is now alone against Adam Copeland for Revolution. Do you think it's time to take the belt off of Mox?
If the Death Riders are really as hated as people lead me to believe, then yes. I kind of because the Death Riders didn't pan out, I guess, as well as we wanted it to. I'm fine with it being ended by Cope. I probably wished it would have been for let's build somebody else up, but if it's a typical title run, it is what it is. But yeah, I think that's what everything's been set up for. Now, Yuta getting slapped around by Mox, I feel like with what I know about AEW and as well as that Blackpool Combat Club, they hit each other all the fucking time. Like, they fucking bullied Yuta into fucking joining the group, pretty much. Because that's what we do. We keep each other in check type shit. We're just angry all the time. So that I'm not really tripping off of. Also, even when they do an abusive relationship of the heels, like let's say MJ Wardlow, for instance, they sit on that shit so long before the person finally turns. Like, Wardlow had about 3 different pay-per-views. Fucking Dinosaur, Luchasaurus, last year had so many fucking teases about finally I'm gonna turn on Christian, and he's still with the motherfucker today. It's just one of those things where I find it way more likely that Yuta still stays part of the group, even if he doesn't really do much in this match. Or he'll come out to do something in the match and then be like, I warned you, kid. Get coped on. Or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I saw you talking with Super Jazz and Big Bro Ibn, and I think one of you mentioned the idea of a possible cash-in from Mr. Cage.
Yeah.
And I could see that happening.
So I think the story that I would assume from the original Death Riders is that this isn't necessarily a champion, a win to give to a Cope character. This is as the Death Riders story was established initially. That's why everybody was predicting that it was going to be Darby Allin, because the story seemed like it needed a AEW original, never been champion kind of character to rise up, and Cope taking that would be the exact opposite of all of those things. So original basis of this story you would never assume something like that. Um, Now, as you mentioned, the Death Riders haven't been hitting as hard as maybe some would have liked them to hit of recent months. I mean, AEW has been hitting hard the last 2 months, going really strong, and the weakest link in a lot of episodes has kind of been the Death Rider story in many cases, and definitely a strong internet sentiment of following that. Um, so if you did want to, if you wanted to move on, I think a very interesting way to do that, because personally, we have seen the Christian Edge feud, Christian Cope feud several times already, including already in AEW.
Oh yeah.
And I think if anything from the other company this week may have proven, it's that sometimes doing switching it up, doing something shocking could be helpful for just brand elevation. So I would be very much interested in Christian coming out, using that cash in attempt, and by the end of the night, if Copeland is champion, I would have loved for us to have revealed just a new super heel faction for a young AEW original to take over, rather than babyface rated R superstar Cope
Versus heel Christian Cage.
having the title, and then maybe Christian Cage cashing in and it ending with Christian heel as champion. Whatever that's, I would really love for this to create a new super heel group if they're going to move away from Moxley.
Yeah.
So, because we've seen Christian versus Adam Copeland. What's left to do is Christian and Adam Copeland coming back together and doing
True.
tag team stuff again
Also
and
true.
being friends again.
But he
They don't
told
have
him
to
to
be
go.
good guys
But he
to
told
be
him what
friends.
but Christian told Cope what Cody told Rock.
Yeah, so that's true. That's true.
So
Which is kind of why you need Edge to go
yeah.
to
him.
close that gap. Christian's character isn't going to close that gap. Edge character needs to. Adam Copeland's character. Sorry for continually dead name.
Copeland, baby.
All right, let's move on from that, Omari, because these other matches are just ridiculous. AEW World Tag Team Championship. I mean, you have the Hurt Syndicate, who are just absolutely monsters in AEW, bulldozing through people, and then you have the Outrunners, one of the great current gimmicks on wrestling television, where they are just their gimmick is they are macho men from 1982, subtracted from 1982 and inserted into AEW basically. They're just like parody characters almost of 1980s wrestlers. I love it, but I mean, Hurt Syndicate,
Yeah.
I think needs to continue to murder.
It. I got Hurt Syndicate keeping it, but I do like the idea of the Outrunners.
TBS Championship, Mercedes Moné versus Momo Watanabe. This is going to be another one of those where Mercedes ends up retaining. It's going to be an incredible women's match, and she's not going to get enough credit for it because, I mean, it's not. I'm not going to disagree with people that February through June last year was kind of awkward and kind of clunky, and it wasn't really slapping when it could have been slapping. But almost every moment since then, Mercedes Moné has been doing very solid wrestling heel TV work and has not been getting credit that she that she deserves. So many people that she's worked with have been elevated for working with her despite losing to her. You can make the argument she hasn't given up pins, but I mean, Willow Nightingale is so much bigger of a star. Despite Chris Statlander doing the Jade Cargill um, uh, uh, streak end, she had lost so much momentum. I had been watching AEW for quite a while, barely even knew who she was. Then she had the heel gimmick with the manager fighting Willow, and she was losing to Willow a lot. Feel like her elevation from Mercedes Moné when she went back to a good guy was excellent. Obviously, her elevation of Harley Cameron and what Harley Cameron can do in the ring. Yeah, Mercedes Moné is great.
Yeah.
I'll step off my soapbox now.
Yeah, I got her winning that one.
Continental Championship match. You have Kazuchika Okada versus Brody King. I think this is another one where it's going to be a solid match, but Okada retains.
Yeah. I don't see Brody King beating Okada.
What will also be the number one contenders match for the men's AEW world title, Ricochet versus Swerve Strickland. Ricochet already has one on Swerve. He also has Nana's robe that Swerve has promised to get back. A lot of people are saying this is going to be the 1-1 Swerve victory. I have a feeling in my gut that this is going to be Ricochet 2-0.
Really?
There's something in my gut that makes me feel like Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland gave themselves personal missions to put over Ricochet when he came over. And yes, you could make the argument that they've both already done that job, but I feel like I said, going 2-0, not just trading victories. And now that Ricochet's a heel, he can do it in very dastardly fashion. I think I mentioned in the thread that you referred to earlier with Jazz and Super Jazz and Big Bro Ibn that I could see a Nana turn here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I could see them doing that for Ricochet because apparently, he's been stellar must-see TV in AEW with his promos since turning heel. But it's hard for me to feel like Swerve. I don't know. Probably because I haven't watched enough recently to be like, but that's Swerve versus Ricochet. Like, my heart says Swerve wins, but I could easily see, because the way you talk about it, especially because I can see them both being like, yeah, let's shut the internet wrestling community up. The people that say Ricochet don't have what it takes, do that. Which, I'll never be a person to say Ricochet doesn't have what it takes. My take was always he looks too pretty losing, and that's why they make him do it.
Yeah, it's the Dolph Ziggler, Nick Nemeth syndrome.
Yeah.
I would say somebody who I have my eye on to unfortunately hold that mantle now is Carmelo Hayes over in the WWE. He looks really pretty like. Losing. He takes everybody's finisher really well. Like it's a great job to have, but then it also becomes a real, like, you can ask Dolph. Like, it gets you really paid for 12 years, and you're always going to have a job, but you also know that you're always going to be that dude who's getting RKO'd.
Yeah.
Let's go to oh man, like it's killer after killer after killer. Like everything I have left to mention is match of the year candidates potentially. You have MJF versus Hangman Adam Page. Let's run these.
Adam Page, baby.
Adam Page, baby. I'll go MJF just to be anti.
Yeah.
Steel cage match: Kyle Fletcher versus Will Ospreay. It's got to be Will Ospreay.
Yeah.
Kyle Fletcher's already got his victory. I don't think this is one where you need to go 2-0. I think this is a trade victories, and if anything, or
Rubber match
maybe we
later on.
already are 1-1.
This
I
might
mean,
be
it's
a
hard to
rubber
tell
match.
because these guys have fought a bunch.
Yeah. Either
uh,
way, if it's escalated to a cage, you kind of put punctuation on it for a while. So I say Osprey.
What they have billed as the Hollywood ending, the AEW Women's World Championship, current champion Toni Storm versus Mariah May. This will be match number 3. I'm excited for this one because it did always feel like in match 1 and 2 that there was something held back, that they weren't go for the blood feud that it was.
Yeah.
The matches always felt like they could have gone farther, and that's probably because they always knew that this third one was coming.
The third act, the Hollywood
Is
ending.
what I'm hoping. So I got Tony winning that one.
As do I.
And then AEW International Champion Omari Konosuke Takeshita, who has defeated this man 2 times in 1 week. Kenny Omega coming back. What I mean, this is
Okay.
gonna be 6 stars in the Tokyo Dome, as they say. But what do you?
I would love.
Is it Kenny Omega?
I would love for it to be Kenny Omega. Everything about me says it should be Kenny Omega. I have a question for you. Is Takeshita still allied with Don Callis? All right, I'm still gonna say Omega, but I have to acknowledge my fear that it's just gonna be the typical Don Callis bullshit, screw over Kenny Omega shit he's been doing for like the past 3 years.
So I feel like, as I think I mentioned in our tier list video that we did, I feel like we are growing. My fandom booking, my fantasy booking is that we are growing to a AEW Continental Champion Kazuchika Okada versus AEW International Champion Kenny Omega at All In, belt for belt, to unify
And
these 2
form
championships.
The Intercontinental Championship.
No. the Continental.
The Continental. I actually kind of like Continental.
And so in order to do that, you got to get the belt on Kenny Omega to fulfill my fantasy booking. But I don't know if it's a little too early for that.
Yeah, aforementioned
It
fantasy.
could happen now, and then he gets a Takeshita rematch, and then he gets a couple other
Yeah, build up some momentum for it.
gets a couple other international title defenses before
Yeah.
Okada finds himself back in the crosshairs.
I like that. And your fantasy booking that you mentioned a few weeks ago and stuff, is another reason why I feel like it should be Kenny Omega. Even if it's not for eventually merging the titles, that match. Okada Omega for the umpteenth time. Let's do it again. They're both champions in their own right.
Now they're old.
Now they're old and fighting for, and they're holding quote unquote mid card championships. But who cares? They're gonna fight.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's still gonna fucking rule.
That's what I'm saying.
So
That's what I'm saying. It's still gonna be awesome. So I'm down with that. But I've been burned too many times by the Don Callis family and that fucking one note ass.
yeah, I'm not a Don Callis man.
I'm not either, man. I liked him like the first year he was with Kenny because he's just so stereotypical heel. But then again, his last name is Callis, so of course he is. But after a while, it's like, oh my goodness, why?
Yeah, and I don't understand how like kayfabe wise, I don't understand how he's able to hold wrestlers uh to binding contracts inside of their contracts with AEW?
Probably has
Or are
something to
we-
do with what's his name, that lawyer, Smart Mark or whatever, right?
All right, Omari, those are our three topics here today on You Don't Watch Sports. If you like to see us talk about random other bullshit, you can watch us talk on Mock Draft on Mondays, where we do wrestling based around our fantasy league, where we drafted WWE superstars. We earn points on their wins and losses, and it's all building up to Mania, which is coming up soon. I think we're like 5 weeks away, so get ready for the road to WrestleMania. And then we have this guy hasn't seen on Tuesdays, where we share media back and forth. The one guy has seen, the other one hasn't. It's really fun. It's kind of like a book club with movies. Everybody watches the movie, then you get together and you talk about the movie. It's really fun. We do that on Tuesdays. Been going strong for going on 3 years now.
Yeah.
So got that, and then whatever we want, whenever they want, usually on Wednesdays, but it's whenever they want, is gonna come back sometime with
Busy
friend of the channel
folks.
Super Jazz.
Super Jazz. Yeah, we talk about just
And then
that
where
as
else
well.
on you on the internet, Amari?
Well, you can also find me on Twitter and Twitch at Giotavi. That is Giotavi. Come on in. Stop on by. Streaming Earth Day 240. You know what that means. Yeah. So, thank you guys very much. Bill is done. That means, we can wrap this up. I'm done as well. We'll see you next week. Adiosness.